The Galactic War Academy was a fortress of excellence, a towering structure that floated above the crimson clouds of Parnaxis III, a planet known for its relentless storms and unyielding gravity. For centuries, the Academy had trained the most brilliant minds from every corner of the galaxy, producing generals and strategists who had shaped the fate of countless civilizations. To be invited to its ranks was an honor reserved only for the elite. This year, however, the Academy was about to break its traditions in a way that left many baffled. For the first time in its illustrious history, a human and unproven, seemingly primitive member of a species barely 2 centuries into space travel had been invited to participate in the annual war simulation. The decision sparked outrage and ridicule among the Academy's cadets, who came from species with millennia of military experience. What could a human possibly contribute to an event that showcased the pinnacle of tactical brilliance? The human cadet in question, Alex Carter, stepped off the shuttle onto the Academy's landing pad. The other cadets towered over him, their bio-enhanced armors glinting under the harsh red light of Parnaxis' sun. Some had scales that shimmered like molten gold. Others had skin lined with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in time with their dual heartbeats. Alex, by contrast, wore a standard-issue jumpsuit that seemed almost laughably plain in this gathering of galactic elites. "Is that it?" A voice rumbled. It belonged to Krell, a Tarkanian cadet whose species was famed for their unparalleled strength and battle prowess. His 4 eyes scanned Alex dismissively. "This is the representative of Earth? Looks like he'd struggle to lift a datapad, let alone command a fleet." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Alex didn't flinch. He had been briefed on the hostility he might face, but seeing it up close was another matter entirely. Keeping his head high, he walked past the cadets and into the assembly hall, where the simulation briefing was about to begin. The hall was a marvel of technology, its walls lined with holographic displays that projected real-time maps of star systems and battlefields. The centerpiece was a massive dome that housed the simulation environment, a virtual galaxy so detailed that even the gravitational pull of distant stars was replicated with precision. As Alex took his seat among the other cadets, he couldn't help but feel the weight of their stares. He was the outsider, the underdog, and he knew they would relish watching him fail. An instructor took the podium, his insectoid form clicking and hissing as he activated the holograms. "Cadets, welcome to the annual war simulation," he announced in a voice that resonated through the hall. "This year's scenario will test your ability to adapt to an evolving battlefield. You will each command a fleet against a common enemy, a simulated alien force designed to mimic the strategies of the galaxy's most dangerous adversaries." The instructor's compound eyes swept over the cadets before lingering on Alex. "Earth's representative, Alex Carter, has been invited as part of a diplomatic initiative. While his presence here may seem unconventional, we expect him to adhere to the same standards as the rest of you." Another ripple of laughter spread through the room, and Alex felt the heat rise in his cheeks. But he refused to let it show. He had come here to prove something not just to the Academy, but to himself. The cadets were each assigned a command station within the dome, where they would oversee their fleets through a holographic interface. Alex's station was tucked away in the corner, as if to isolate him from the others. As he approached it, he noticed the stark difference in equipment. While the other cadets had sleek, advanced consoles optimized for their physiology, his station was basic, almost rudimentary. It was clear the Academy didn't expect much from him. "Good luck, human," a voice sneered from the neighboring station. It was Vexadren, a Zalian cadet with an iridescent exoskeleton and a reputation for ruthless tactics. "You'll need it." Alex ignored her and focused on familiarizing himself with the interface. The simulation would begin in an hour, and he needed every second to prepare. The fleet he had been assigned was small and outdated, consisting of clunky frigates and a single battleship that barely met the Academy's standards. It was a stark contrast to the advanced fleets commanded by the other cadets, which boasted state-of-the-art weaponry and adaptive AI systems. As Alex reviewed the specifications of his fleet, he realized just how dire his situation was. His ships were slower, their shields weaker, and their firepower significantly lower than the rest. But as he studied the holographic models, a thought struck him: what if he didn't play by the rules? The Academy's simulations were designed to test traditional strategies, favoring cadets who excelled in direct combat and resource management. But Alex had grown up studying Earth's military history, which was filled with tales of underdogs triumphing against overwhelming odds through creativity and unconventional tactics. If he couldn't match the other cadets in firepower, he would have to outthink them. The hour passed quickly, and the cadets were instructed to activate their consoles. The dome darkened, and the simulation began. Stars and nebulae filled the space around them, creating an eerily realistic galaxy. Each cadet's fleet appeared in a different sector, and the enemy fleet, a vast armada of simulated alien ships, materialized in the center. Alex took a deep breath and assessed the situation. The other cadets immediately began deploying their fleets, forming defensive perimeters and launching reconnaissance drones. Their movements were precise and coordinated, a testament to their training. Alex, however, held back. He ordered his fleet to remain in the shadows of a nearby asteroid field, using the natural cover to mask their presence. Is he hiding? Krelthon's voice echoed through the dome, amplified by the simulation's communication channel. Cowardly, even for a human. The other cadets laughed, but Alex paid them no mind. He knew they would underestimate him, and he planned to use that to his advantage. While the others engaged the enemy fleet head-on, Alex began studying their tactics. The simulated aliens were relentless, using swarm formations to overwhelm their opponents. One by one, the other cadets began to falter, their fleet struggling to adapt to the enemy's unconventional strategies. Meanwhile, Alex's fleet remained hidden, conserving its limited resources. He analyzed the movements of both the alien fleet and the other cadets, looking for patterns and weaknesses. It was a risky strategy. If the aliens discovered his fleet, he would be an easy target, but Alex trusted his instincts. As the simulation progressed, the other cadets began to notice something unusual. While their fleets were being decimated, Alex's fleet remained untouched. He was the only cadet who hadn't lost a single ship. What is he doing? Vexadren muttered, her exoskeleton shimmering with irritation. How is he still in the game? Alex smiled to himself. The real battle hadn't even begun. The battlefield had become a spectacle of disorder, a chaotic dance of light and destruction as the cadets battled the simulated alien armadas. Holograms above each station displayed real-time visuals of fleets engaging, explosions erupting as ships were obliterated, and the relentless alien forces advancing without hesitation. The alien fleets, though simulated, acted with unnerving precision. They swarmed their targets with calculated efficiency, their ships moving in synchronized patterns that seemed almost instinctual. Every cadet faced the same challenge: outthink and outmaneuver an enemy that adapted faster than any organic opponent. For most of the participants, this was a daunting task. For Alex Carter, it was an opportunity. From the moment the simulation began, Alex noticed the patterns in the enemy's tactics. Unlike the other cadets who rushed to engage their fleets head-on, Alex held his ships back, hidden deep within an asteroid field. The other cadets jeered through the open communication channels, mocking his apparent hesitation. Alex ignored them. His fleet of outdated frigates and a single battleship was no match for the enemy in a direct fight. He knew that. What he also knew was that this wasn't a test of brute force, it was a test of survival, strategy, and adaptability. And humans, as history had shown time and time again, excelled in finding unconventional solutions to impossible problems. As he studied the battlefield, Alex watched the other cadets fall into predictable patterns. Vexadren, the Zalian cadet, launched her fleet in a direct assault against one of the alien armadas. Her strategy was one of overwhelming firepower, deploying her advanced drones in swarms to disable enemy ships while her battleships rained plasma fire from a distance. It worked at first, The alien fleet, caught off guard, suffered heavy losses. But within minutes, they adapted. Their ships reconfigured into tighter formations, focusing their fire on Vex's command ships. Her drones, which relied on coordinated attacks, were rendered useless as their targets shifted rapidly. One by one, her battleships were destroyed, leaving her fleet in ruins. Krelthon, the Tarkanian cadet, fared no better. His fleet of massive dreadnoughts, heavily armored and armed with devastating artillery, charged into an asteroid belt where another alien armada lay in wait. Krell's plan was straightforward: use the asteroids as a bottleneck, forcing the aliens into a narrow corridor where his firepower could dominate. It was a strategy rooted in Tarkanian military doctrine, one that had proven effective in countless wars. But the simulated aliens were not bound by conventional thinking. Instead of engaging directly, they split their fleet in two. One group drew Krell's ships deeper into the asteroid field, while the others circled around and attacked from behind. Krell's dreadnoughts, too slow to reposition, were picked apart with surgical precision. By the time he realized his mistake, it was too late. His fleet was decimated. Alex observed all of this from his position in the asteroid field, his fleet hidden from view. He had deployed a series of decoy beacons, small drones programmed to emit false energy signatures mimicking the presence of battleships. These beacons were scattered across a wide area, creating the illusion of a much larger fleet. The nearest alien armada, detecting the signals, adjusted its course to investigate. Alex watched as the alien ships swarmed the decoy beacons, firing on them in bursts of light and energy. It was a calculated risk. If the aliens realized the ruse too soon, they would turn their attention to Alex's real fleet. But for now, the deception worked. The aliens were distracted, giving Alex the time he needed to analyze their movements. The alien fleets moved with a predator's instinct, their tactics reminiscent of Earth's apex predators. They hunted in packs, isolating their targets and overwhelming them with sheer numbers. But Alex noticed something important: their swarming behavior, while efficient, created predictable gaps in their formations. These gaps were small, almost imperceptible, but they were there, and Alex intended to exploit them. As the alien fleet pursued the decoys, Alex ordered his frigates to reposition, using the dense asteroid field for cover. His ships were slow and poorly armed compared to the alien vessels, but they were agile enough to navigate the treacherous terrain. He directed them into a crescent formation, surrounding the alien ships without revealing their presence. When the moment was right, he gave the command to strike. The attack was swift and precise. Alex's frigates targeted the aliens' engines and communication arrays, crippling their ability to maneuver and coordinate. The asteroid field, which had been a hindrance to Krell's dreadnoughts, now worked in Alex's favor. The alien ships, unable to adjust their formations in the confined space, became easy targets. Alex's battleship, positioned at a safe distance, provided long-range support, its railguns picking off the disabled enemy ships one by one. It was a small victory, but a significant one. For the first time in the simulation, an alien armada had been decisively defeated not through superior firepower, but through strategy and positioning. The other cadets, who had been watching from their stations, were stunned. Vexadren's voice crackled through the communication channel, her tone a mix of disbelief and anger. "How did he do that?" she demanded. "His fleet is a joke compared to ours." "It's luck," Krell growled. "The aliens underestimated him. That's all." Alex ignored their comments. Luck had nothing to do with it. He had spent years studying Earth's military history, learning from the victories and defeats of countless battles. Guerrilla warfare, psychological tactics, asymmetrical combat, these were the tools of the underdog, and Alex had mastered them. Now, he was proving their value on a galactic scale. With the enemy armada defeated, Alex turned his attention to the wreckage. He ordered his fleet to salvage the remains of the alien ships, using the debris to repair his damaged frigates and reinforce his battleship's shields. It was an unconventional move. Most cadets would have abandoned the battlefield to regroup, but Alex understood the importance of resourcefulness. Every piece of salvageable material was an asset, and in a simulation where every decision mattered, nothing could be wasted. As his fleet prepared for the next phase of the simulation, Alex took a moment to review his performance. The decoy gambit had been a success, but it wouldn't work a second time. The aliens would adapt, as they always did. He needed a new strategy, one that would keep them off balance and exploit their weaknesses further. He studied the holographic displays, searching for patterns in their movements, clues to their decision-making process. The other cadets, meanwhile, continued to struggle. Their fleets, battered and demoralized, were scattered across the battlefield, desperately trying to regroup. Alex knew that if he wanted to survive the final phase of the simulation, he would need to act quickly. The simulation's environment shifted, signaling the transition to the next stage. The alien fleets, having regrouped, began to consolidate their forces into a single, massive armada. It was a tactic designed to overwhelm any remaining resistance. The holograms above Alex's station glowed with new data, displaying the size and composition of the enemy fleet. It was an intimidating sight, a vast swarm of ships, their movements perfectly synchronized, their firepower unmatched. But Alex didn't flinch. He had seen the enemy's tactics, studied their patterns, and found their flaws. Now, it was time to put his theories to the test. As the alien armada advanced, Alex issued a final command to his fleet. "Prepare for Phase 3, he said, his voice calm and steady. "We're not done yet." The battle was far from over, but for the first time, Alex felt a surge of confidence. He wasn't just surviving the simulation, he was rewriting the rules. And in a galaxy where strength and tradition reigned supreme, a single human cadet was proving that sometimes the greatest weapon of all was the ability to think differently. The battlefield shifted into its final phase, and the tension in the simulation dome was palpable. The alien fleets, which had previously operated as three independent armadas, now converged into a single colossal force. Their strategy was simple yet devastating: consolidate strength, overwhelm resistance, and annihilate the remaining cadets. For those still in the game, it was a grim reality. Their fleets, already weakened from earlier skirmishes, had little hope of standing against the combined might of the alien armada. Alex Carter, however, saw an opportunity where others saw defeat. As the holographic projection of the galaxy updated, Alex leaned closer to his console, analyzing the new configuration of the alien fleet. It was an awe-inspiring sight: thousands of ships moving in perfect unison, their energy signatures glowing like a supernova. The armada's formation was tight and precise, with smaller ships on the periphery and larger capital ships at the center. Their movements were synchronized, like a school of fish reacting to a predator. To any other cadet, this formation was an impenetrable wall of destruction. To Alex, it was a puzzle waiting to be solved. His fleet, though victorious in the previous phase, was still severely outmatched. He had managed to salvage parts from the destroyed alien ships, patching up his frigates and reinforcing his battleship's shields, but it wasn't enough to stand toe-to-toe with the enemy. He didn't have the firepower, the speed, or the numbers. What he did have was a plan. Alex had spent hours observing the enemy's behavior. The simulated aliens were adaptive, yes, but their tactics relied on efficiency and predictability. Their swarming patterns, while devastating, left them vulnerable in one key area: communication. Every maneuver, every decision was processed and executed through a centralized network. If Alex could disrupt that network, even briefly, he could create chaos within their ranks. His plan began with a diversion. He ordered his fleet to split into 3 groups, a risky move considering their small numbers. 2 groups consisted of decoy ships, hastily repaired frigates that were outfitted with modified energy cores designed to emit high levels of radiation. These decoys would mimic the energy signatures of fully operational battleships, drawing the enemy's attention. The 3rd group, led by Alex's battleship, would remain hidden, waiting for the right moment to strike. The decoy groups moved into position, skirting the edges of the alien fleet's detection range. Alex carefully monitored their movements, making minor adjustments to ensure the enemy wouldn't detect the ruse too soon. As expected, the aliens responded quickly, sending a portion of their fleet to intercept the supposed threats. The cadets watching the simulation from their stations whispered among themselves, unsure of what Alex was trying to accomplish. "Does he really think those decoys will hold them off?" one cadet muttered. "He's stalling," another replied. "But it won't work. The aliens are too smart for that." Alex ignored the chatter. The success of his plan didn't rely on the decoys surviving, it relied on them creating enough confusion to mask his real objective. While the aliens engaged the decoy ships, Alex's battleship and its remaining frigates slipped through the chaos, moving toward the heart of the alien armada. The closer they got, the more dangerous the mission became. The enemy's sensors were highly advanced, and even the smallest mistake could give away their position. Alex ordered his ships to power down their engines, drifting through the void like debris. They were completely vulnerable, but it was the only way to avoid detection. Every second felt like an eternity as they crept closer to their target, the command ship at the center of the fleet. The command ship was a massive vessel, its surface bristling with weapons and defensive systems. It was the nerve center of the alien fleet, the place where all tactical decisions were made. Alex knew that if he could take it out, the rest of the fleet would be thrown into disarray. But attacking the ship directly was impossible, it was too well protected. Instead, Alex planned to exploit its greatest strength, its reliance on communication. Using data gathered from the earlier phases of the simulation, Alex had identified a vulnerability in the alien fleet's network. The command ship relied on a series of relay nodes to maintain communication with the rest of the fleet. These nodes were heavily guarded, but they were also crucial to the fleet's coordination. If Alex could disable even one of them, it would create a cascade effect, disrupting the entire network. The first step was to distract the enemy. Alex ordered one of his frigates to break formation and draw fire away from the relay node. The frigate's pilot, a low-level AI program, executed the maneuver flawlessly, darting between enemy ships and firing random bursts of energy. The aliens responded predictably, diverting several ships to pursue the rogue vessel. With the path to the relay node momentarily clear, Alex sent his remaining frigates in for the attack. The frigates unleashed a barrage of missiles, targeting the node's shield generators. The enemy responded almost immediately, sending reinforcements to protect the relay. Alex's battleship, still hidden among the debris, provided covering fire, using its railguns to pick off enemy ships. It was a desperate fight, and Alex knew he was running out of time. The aliens were adapting to his tactics, adjusting their formations to counter his attacks. Just as it seemed the mission might fail, one of the missiles hit its mark. The relay node erupted in a burst of light, its shield generators collapsing under the strain. Without the relay, the command ship's connection to the fleet was severed. The alien armada, once a perfectly synchronized machine, began to falter. Ships collided with each other as they tried to regroup, their movements chaotic and uncoordinated. This was the moment Alex had been waiting for. He ordered his battleship to fire a concentrated salvo at the command ship, targeting its propulsion systems. The railguns struck true, disabling the massive vessel and leaving it adrift. With the command ship out of commission, the rest of the fleet was left leaderless, its ships operating on fragmented instructions. The cadets watching the simulation erupted in disbelief. Alex had done the unthinkable. He had crippled the alien fleet, using a fraction of the resources available to the other cadets. Even the instructors, who prided themselves on maintaining a stoic demeanor, exchanged glances of surprise. But Alex wasn't finished. He knew that victory in the simulation wasn't just about defeating the enemy, it was about surviving until the end. He ordered his fleet to regroup, using the debris field to mask their retreat. The alien ships, still struggling to recover from the disruption, were unable to mount an effective counterattack. As the simulation timer ticked down, Alex's fleet remained intact, the only force still operational. When the simulation finally ended, the dome filled with the sound of silence. The cadets, instructors, and even the simulation AI were stunned. Alex Carter, the human underdog, had outperformed every other cadet in the most challenging test the Galactic War Academy had ever devised. For Alex, it wasn't about proving himself to the Academy. It was about proving that creativity, resourcefulness, and determination could triumph over even the most insurmountable odds. As he stepped away from his console, he couldn't help but smile. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, but now, they would never make that mistake again. The simulation dome fell silent as the final moments of the battle played out. Above each cadet station, the holographic displays flickered, showing the remnants of the alien armada. The once imposing fleet now floated in disarray, a collection of disabled ships drifting aimlessly in the simulated galaxy. Among the wreckage, Alex Carter's fleet remained intact, though visibly battered. The last seconds of the simulation ticked down, marking the end of the exercise. For a moment, there was no reaction. The cadets, instructors, and observers sat frozen in disbelief. Alex leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly as the tension drained from his body. He hadn't just survived the simulation, he had conquered it. Against all odds, his ragtag fleet had defeated an enemy designed to outmatch even the most advanced military forces in the galaxy. But Alex knew the true victory wasn't in the destruction of the alien armada, it was in the message he had sent. The silence broke as murmurs rippled through the room. The cadets, many of whom had mocked Alex at the start of the exercise, now whispered in hushed tones, their expressions a mix of awe and disbelief. Vexa Dren, her iridescent exoskeleton dimmed with exhaustion, stared at Alex's station with narrowed eyes. Krelthon, the Tarkanian cadet, gritted his teeth, his pride visibly wounded. "How did he do it?" one cadet whispered. "He's just a human," another said, their voice tinged with both confusion and admiration. The simulation dome dimmed as the holograms disappeared, replaced by a single display summarizing the results. Alex's name was at the top of the leaderboard, his fleet listed as the only one still operational. Below him, the names of the other cadets were marked with red indicators, signifying their defeats. The gap between Alex's score and the rest was staggering. The instructors, standing at the front of the room, exchanged glances before stepping forward. The lead instructor, a towering insectoid being named Commander Thrix, clicked his mandibles as he addressed the cadets. "Cadets," Thrix began, his voice resonating through the chamber. "Today we have witnessed an unprecedented outcome. The human representative, Alex Carter, has not only survived the simulation but has achieved a level of success that surpasses all previous records. His tactics, though unconventional, have demonstrated the value of adaptability, resourcefulness, and creativity in the face of overwhelming odds." Thrix paused, his compound eyes locking onto Alex. Mr. Carter approached the podium. Alex hesitated for a moment, the weight of the moment sinking in. Slowly, he rose from his station and walked toward the front of the room. The other cadets watched him in silence, their previous disdain replaced by a mixture of respect and curiosity. As Alex reached the podium, Thrix gestured for him to address the room. Alex took a deep breath, his mind racing. He hadn't expected this. He had entered the simulation with no intention of proving himself to anyone but himself, but now, standing before the most elite cadets in the galaxy, he realized the significance of what he had accomplished. "Thank you, Commander Thrix," Alex began, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. "And thank you to everyone here. I know I wasn't the most welcome addition to this exercise. Humans are new to the galactic stage, and I understand why many of you doubted me. But I think today's simulation has shown something important. Strength isn't just about firepower or advanced technology. It's about how you use the tools you have, how you adapt to challenges, and how you think under pressure. He glanced at the crowd, his gaze lingering on the faces of the other cadets. Humans might not have the strongest fleets or the most advanced ships, but we've always been good at finding a way to survive. That's what today was about for me, finding a way. I hope this shows that even the smallest voice can make a big impact if it's used wisely. Alex stepped back, his words hanging in the air. The room remained silent for a moment before Commander Thrix nodded approvingly. Wise words, Mr. Carter. Let this be a lesson to all of you. The galaxy is vast and every species brings something unique to the table. Underestimating your opponent is a mistake that can cost you dearly, as today's results have shown. As Alex returned to his station, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. The other cadets, once dismissive and condescending, now looked at him with newfound respect. Vexa Dren approached him, her posture hesitant. "Carter," she said, her voice softer than usual. "I don't know how you pulled that off, but well done. I didn't think you had it in you." "Thanks, Vexa," Alex replied with a small smile. "I guess humans are full of surprises." Krelthon, still visibly irked, gave Alex a begrudging nod. "Don't get too cocky, human. This was just a simulation." Alex chuckled. "True. But it's a start." Word of Alex's performance spread quickly throughout the academy. By the end of the day, he was the subject of countless conversations, his tactics analyzed and debated by cadets and instructors alike. Some praised his ingenuity, while others questioned whether his unorthodox methods could work in real combat. But one thing was certain: Alex Carter had made his mark. The implications of his victory extended beyond the academy. Representatives from the Galactic Council, who had been observing the simulation remotely, were stunned by the results. Humanity, a species they had considered insignificant, had demonstrated a level of tactical brilliance that rivaled the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Discussions began about Earth's potential role in galactic affairs, with some arguing that humanity's unique perspective could bring a valuable edge to interstellar diplomacy and defense. For Alex, the aftermath of the simulation was both overwhelming and inspiring. He had entered the academy as an outsider, a symbol of humanity's fragile place in the galaxy. But now he was something more: a trailblazer, a symbol of what humanity could achieve. As he walked through the academy's corridors, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride, not just for himself, but for his species. Late that night, as he sat in his quarters, Alex received a message from Earth. It was from his mentor, a retired military strategist who had encouraged him to join the academy. The message was simple: "Well done, Alex. You've shown them what we're capable of. Now, keep going." Alex smiled as he read the words, determination burning in his chest. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges, but he was ready to face them. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger world, and Alex Carter was leading the way.